Welcome to the 4th edition of No Such Thing as the News, coming to you from up the creek in Greenwich, London. My name is Dan Schreiber, and I'm sitting here with Anna Chazinski, Andrew Hunter-Murray, and James Harkin. Once again, we're here to bring you the most interesting things we found in the news of the last 7 days, like the fact that was revealed by the BBC this week that, as well as being the head of the Church of England and the head of the Armed Forces, the Queen also wanted to be the head of the George Formby Appreciation Society. So she apparently knows all his songs, and she can sing all of them with all the lyrics pitch perfect. Yeah, that's your queen. Okay, let's begin. And in no particular order, here we go. Starting with you, James Harkin.
Okay, my fact this week is that the Euro 2016 trophy is named after a man who retired from refereeing after accidentally swallowing his own whistle. He was called Henri Delaunay.
Yep.
He was a Frenchman. He worked at the French Football Federation, and he'd earlier played for a team in Paris, and then he became a referee, and then one day he was hit in the face with a ball, and he swallowed his whistle. Unfortunately, he also lost 2 teeth, because they were quite heavy balls in those days. And then he became an administrator, and then he thought of the idea of the Euro Championships, and they named it after him.
Oh, wow.
Did he always speak with a slight whistle after?
I was looking to the referees who were going to be officiating all the matches of the Euro 2016. They all have day jobs outside of being referees.
Do they?
Yeah, so if you line them up and you were saying, here they are.
Which one of these men was it who sent you off?
So they all have day jobs, and their day jobs include, there are 2 lawyers, there's an insurance broker, there's an RE teacher, there's an ambulance driver, there's an estate agent, and an alleged multi-millionaire who's just doing it for fun, but they don't know if he actually is. So he's like, I've got the money, I'll just do this on the side. One of the referees was voted the worst referee at the 2014 World Cup. Oh. Yet he's still allowed to
And they're giving him
referee.
one more chance.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Why was he so bad? Do we know?
He was too harsh on the rules. Because that's the hilarious thing. When you look into some of football's harshest moments from referees, they are extremely harsh. I found the earliest red card given to anyone in a match ever.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, 2 seconds into the match. 2 seconds,
Wow.
kickoff, 2 seconds.
And what did he do? He just kind of looked at the referee a bit funny.
No, it was in 2000. It was Cross Farms Sunday League game, and it was against Taunton East Reach Wanderers. And basically, what happened was the referee blew his whistle. The striker, called Lee Todd, went, "Fuck me, that was loud." And he was red carded. 2 seconds. 2 seconds.
Actually, speaking of loud whistles, did you see in Whistle News this week that, which I've just got a thing that updates automatically on my computer, a school's banned whistles in its playgrounds because it thinks that children might be too frightened by the sound of the noise, and now teachers have to raise their hand in the air at the end of playtime instead of blowing a whistle to get the attention of pupils, apparently. I just want to give you the quote from this teacher, Pamela Cunningham, who said that she was going to keep her whistle in her pocket nonetheless. She said, in case her children don't spot her hand in case of an emergency, she'll keep her hand-carved whistle on her at all times. What kind of teacher has a hand-carved whistle?
That's really good. So exciting times in football at the moment because all the rules have just been changed. Did you guys know this?
What?
They're exciting.
It's awkward because Andy only learnt the original rules this weekend.
So the International Football Association Board, they've just made 95 changes to the rules. This is so exciting. Most of them are quite dull, but some of them are fun. So they've had to register various things. So the referee can now award a goal if a team official stops a ball from going into a goal. So I presume if a manager just dives in front of it, it was a goal. Also, players wearing tights have to make sure they're matching with their shorts and their teammates' tights. Wow. So here is an example of a footballer wearing bad tights. These tights are bad.
Oh, yeah.
You're a footballer, don't wear these tights. I think he's got a ladder in one of them, actually, as well. So.
I was looking into the teams that are playing in this year's Euro 2016, and one of the teams that's really interesting is Iceland. They love football so much. They reckon the final, if they made it to the final, that 10% of Iceland's entire population will be over for the matches.
No.
Yeah. 10% of Iceland's population will be in France watching the football.
If you're a burglar, why not go over to Iceland? So the mascot for Euro 2016 is this guy. There we go. Yeah, that's pretty much what I used to look like when I was a child. When I had a penis for a nose. And he's called... He's called Super Victor, okay? Well, now the problem is, if you go on Google and search for Super Victor toy, this is what you get. So, Super Victor is the name of a sex toy, okay?
Wow.
It is, and it's quite an extreme one as well. It says on the site, one of the sites selling it, beware, not for beginners. You really do.
This is really interesting. British fans have been told by the French government that if they are caught while they are over there seeing any prostitutes, that they will be sent to sex school. Yeah, and I don't think that's to make them better at it. No. I think what they mean is they're going to give them lessons in how immoral it is and why they shouldn't be doing it. And they'll get a fine of 2,500 and they will have to go to sex school, yeah, and be taught. We're going to have to move on very shortly.
Can I give you one last piece of whistle news that just came through? This was in the last few hours, and it's from the East Anglian Daily Times, and it's that a search is underway for a brass whistle stolen from a steam engine housed in a Suffolk museum. Police are appealing for information following the theft from the Museum of East Anglian Life in Stowmarket. The whistle was taken at some point between Sunday, May the 8th and Friday, May the 20th. So they obviously really care a lot about this whistle.
Where were you? Between.
And you just have a lineup of referees.
Okay, it is time to move on to fact number 2, and that is Andrew Hunter Murray.
My fact is that in the recent Romanian local elections, you were no longer allowed to give people free buckets to encourage them to vote for you. So this is from a website called Romania Insider, which is great. And basically, they have just changed the rules for Romanian local elections because there were a lot of free gifts being given out. And so now, candidates are no longer allowed to give out branded pens, hats, mugs, watches, T-shirts, jackets, raincoats, hats, scarves, bags, umbrellas, lighters, matches, food, alcohol, cigarettes, or buckets. Okay?
Well, they needed something to carry all the other stuff in.
There's one guy called Florin Popescu who has just been sentenced to prison for bribing voters with grilled chicken. And you think it sounds relatively like a minor offence. He gave out 60 tons of it. Wow. Yeah.
Just to the one guy.
The one guy. So the reason that the Romanian elections have been, mostly in the British news at least, is that there's been a town called Dragoseni, and in their election, you may have seen this, 3 candidates all had the same name. You could vote on the ballot paper for Vasily Chepoi, or Vasily Chepoi. The incumbent mayor put his middle name on the form.
So who won?
He won. The incumbent won because he thought, I'll put my middle name in. And he won 1,200 votes, and the second guy got 100, and the third guy got 10.
Is it a really popular name?
It's a very popular name. And Chepoi, in case you were wondering, means big onions. So obviously it's a popular name.
Of course, it's not just been Romanian elections this week, has it?
It's mostly been that, James. I can't think of any other votes happening around the world imminently.
Well, Chill-ary Clinton, it seems, is going to be the Democratic candidate, we think.
Yeah.
And I read a really good article in USA Today which said, what might we call Bill Clinton if Hillary becomes president? Because you can't call him First Lady. And so they came up with lots of different ways. I thought they should call him First Lad.
Nice.
But they said maybe First Gentleman or former President Clinton, because once you've been a president, you're still allowed to be called president.
Yeah.
So actually it could be President Clinton's husband, President Clinton.
Wow.
And it seems that might be the one they go for.
I like
Really?
First Lad, though, because you could just tip X the Y off all the badges. Very easy for someone in admin.
Just on names very quickly, very recently, the candidates have been given their CIA code name. So Hillary Clinton is actually going to inherit the one that she had while she was in the Bill Clinton administration. So she was called Evergreen. Also, Donald Trump has been given his code name, and the code name they've given him is Mogul. But prior to him being given it, there was a Republican debate in which the public got to ask, what would you want your code name to be? So Donald Trump said, Humble. That was his one.
He's a master of irony.
This is my favorite. Rand Paul wanted his code name to be Justice Never Sleeps.
What's the status of Justice Never Sleeps? He's asleep.
It turns out American politicians have much more fun websites than British politicians.
Really?
You go on Hillary Clinton's website, you go to her store, and she's selling so many interesting products. One thing she's selling is you can buy a tote bag, right? And on it, it says, girls just want to have fun. Demental rights.
I like it.
Really good, right? Really like that. And it's nice, there's a hyphen and then the next line, demental rights. And then she also has, you can buy, I haven't seen them so much in the UK, but you can buy these little chilling things that go around your can of drink. So it says on the front, it says HillaryClinton.com, and on the back it says, more like Chill-ary Clinton. And then underneath, am I right?
So, speaking of candidates with fun websites, there is a candidate called John McAfee, as in McAfee virus scan. That's the same guy. Yeah. He's standing for the Libertarian Party, and he has been, among other things, an antivirus software pioneer and an international fugitive. So his Twitter profile, it now reads technology pioneer, 2016 presidential candidate, but it used to read eccentric millionaire and still alive. It's grand.
So the Libertarian Party are really interesting because they have a really important role to play in this election because we have the two least popular candidates for about 100 years, both running to be president. And so it's thought a lot of votes might go to the Libertarians, who are the third biggest party, but they are kind of riddled with slightly eccentric people. So they had their party conference this week or last week, and there's a guy called James Weeks who was running to be the Libertarian Party chairperson, and he stepped up onto the stage to give his speech, and then instead of giving his speech, some music started playing and he started taking his clothes off. By the time he was down to a tiny leather thong, people were booing very, very loudly. Then he leans into the microphone and says, sorry, I did this for a dare. I'm out of the race now. I have another Libertarian candidate. There's this guy called Vermin Supreme, who was one of their candidates.
Is he related to Super Victor?
Yes, the sex toy. And one of his things is that he wears a Wellington boot on his head at all times. He advocates regular toothbrushing and a free pony for every American if he becomes president. And they have these events in America for fringe candidates, but he is the only fringe candidate who hasn't been invited back because during the 2011 event, he started glitter bombing the various other candidates. So I have a nice picture of him here, glitter bombing this guy. I just love it when people still attempt to look dignified whilst being glitter bombed by a guy with a boot on his head.
Okay, so we're halfway through the show, and it's time to look at the stories that you've sent in to us via emails and social media. So we're starting with you, James.
Okay, I got this emailed by Joss Sentiens, and it's from The Guardian. A great sunken city off the coast of Greece has been tested and found to actually be made of microbe waste. Oh. Yeah. So what they did is they saw all these structures underneath the water and they thought that's obviously a building, but then they tested it and it turns out that you have these microbes who, when they respire, they make this rock called dolomite. They're in circles and people thought they were columns, but actually they were on vents, and so all the microbes kind of carried on like sitting around the circle and they built them up in like a little column.
Wow.
It's really cool.
God, imagine if, like, the Colosseum and everything and the Parthenon are all just piles of microbe waste.
Okay, Anna?
Yeah, this was tweeted in by @Vonnie_D, and this comes from ITV News. And this is that after a speeding vehicle was stopped by police in Swindon and the 4 occupants made a run for it, Police Constable Steve Hutton gave chase, shouting that he was a dog handler, and then he started barking. To his astonishment, one of the suspects gave himself up when he heard the barking and was promptly arrested.
Wow.
Yeah. Just now has a career as an impersonator.
Haven't they done a thing where they've started texting criminals and saying, hand yourself in, and they've gone, oh, OK. where was that?
That was Sussex Police, I think.
Yeah, so they just text criminals now, and they go, sorry, just get this. I've been busted, I'll see you later. And they head. OK, and Andy, have you got one?
Yes, this was tweeted to us by Lydia Millman-Schmidt, and it is that there has been a Bactrian camel born in Chicago's Lincoln Park Zoo. It's the first one born there since 1998, weighed 81 pounds, and it has been named Alexander Camelton.
OK, it is time for fact number 3, and that is my fact. My fact this week is that, as well as being a great boxer, Muhammad Ali was also a great magician. However, he was also a terrible magician because, as it was against his religion to deceive, he immediately told everyone how he did the tricks. Just straight away. He could do over 30 card tricks. He could levitate. As soon as he was done, he was like, I'll explain how that happened. So, of course, tragic news, Muhammad Ali has passed away, and his funeral was today. Nice little things are coming out about his respect for every tiny bit of detail for his religion. He has a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. His is the only star that is not on the floor, it's on the wall. And that was as a result of his request that he didn't want anyone to be walking over the name of the Prophet Muhammad.
He had multiple interests, didn't he? This is one of the things that's so great about Muhammad Ali, I guess, is that he was active in a lot of directions. Like, he was a poet.
Yeah.
He wrote some excellent poems. So I particularly like the one he wrote about his Rumble in the Jumble sale. But yeah, it was, for this fight, I've wrestled with alligators, I've tussled with a whale, I've done handcuffed lightning and throw thunder in jail. I can drown the drink of water and kill a dead tree. Wait till you see Muhammad Ali. So he was a great literary figure.
There's a theory that, basically, he wasn't very literate, and he said even the books he collaborated on, he hadn't read. So he memorized everything, and that might be why he used so many rhymes in his pre-match sledging. One couplet here, which I just really like, it's been in my head for all day. Ali fights great, he has speed and endurance. If you decide to fight him, increase your insurance.
That's great. There was a nice article in the Coventry Telegraph about him.
He was a Coventry man, wasn't he?
Well, he did once go to Coventry.
Oh, sure.
And that's what they talked about. And he only ever went to one football match. Despite knowing that he was a very famous Muslim, they served him ham sandwiches at half-time. But being the polite man that he was, he just kind of took all the ham out and just ate the bread.
Ah, really?
But yeah, he went on a few tours of Britain, and one of the ones he was in the northeast, and he played darts against the former world #1 darts player, who has the best nickname of all the darts players I can find. He's called David Allen Evans. And once he was in Manchester and he was selling Ovaltine. He wasn't great with kind of
Sorry,
marketing.
Muhammad Ali was selling Ovaltine.
Yeah, he managed to get a sponsor of Ovaltine, and he went to Tesco in Stretford, and he went there.
What is the story?
I know. So he went to Tesco in Stretford, and he was selling Ovaltine, and there was thousands of people turned up, and the police had to be called to keep them away. But the police couldn't quite get it in their heads that it was because of Muhammad Ali, and the police said that they thought the reason there were so many people going a bit mad was some of them thought he was giving away free tins of Ovaltine.
It's so annoying because you've got a way of calming down the crowd.
He was very afraid of flying. So it's interesting how many world tours he did. When he did the 1960s Olympics in Rome, he was so afraid of flying that he would wear a parachute the entire journey.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
There is a story about him when he was sitting in a plane about to take off. The stewardess allegedly says to him, "Can you put your seatbelt on?" And he says, "Superman doesn't need a seatbelt." And then she says, "Superman doesn't need a plane."
It's hard to tell that it's Superman because he puts those glasses on and it doesn't look anything like him. But actually, one of the things he can do is compress his spine. According to the comics, he can compress his spine so he's a little bit shorter than Superman Clark Kent.
It's just that nice detail, isn't it?
Yeah. That's why no one can tell, even though he looks exactly the same.
Yeah, if you lost an inch, I'd have no idea. He fought this quite famous fight in 1976 in Tokyo against a mixed martial artist called Antonio Inoki. And it was kind of a hilarious fight because the rules were sort of altered specifically because this guy did martial arts and Muhammad Ali was a boxer. And so it ended up being that this guy realized the only way he could beat Ali was that he'd lay on the floor and he'd kick him, just keep kicking him really, really hard. And he did this for round after round. He just lay on the floor. The Guardian said, like a hound trying to scratch its arse on the carpet. Just backing away from him and then lashing out. And reports afterwards said he might have to have his legs amputated because they'd been so badly kicked.
We need to move on.
I have one last thing. It's so about the Rumble in the Jungle, which is his very famous fight against George Foreman in 1974. And he did amazing sledging, obviously out loud before a fight, but also mid-fight. Whenever he got the chance, he would whisper to George Foreman, "Is that all you got, George?" And Foreman said he thought it would be a really easy fight. And then he said, by round 6, I was thinking, yeah, that's about all I got. Amazing.
I thought you were going to say, he said, I also have this handy toasty maker.
Okay, it is time for our final fact of the show, and that is Anna Chazinski.
Yes, my fact this week is that fish can be trained to spit in people's faces. This is a study that just came out this week, and it's a study into archer fish. And so what they did was, it was to work out if archer fish can actually recognize human faces. And the way they deduce whether or not they could is they show the archer fish on the monitor screen above their aquaria 2 pictures of people. And if the archer fish spat at one of the people that they'd shown a picture of, then they'd be fed. And so they learned that that was the one to spit at. And then they put that person who the archer fish knew would yield them food if they spat at them, they put that person, a picture of that person, in amongst 44 other faces that the archer fish had never seen. And in more than 80% of cases, the archer fish spat on the correct person. So it could identify the face. And they even changed the shape and the colour of the face sometimes, which is actually going beyond like my facial recognition abilities. And the archerfish was still able to identify which one was the person that they had to spit at to get them food.
Archerfish, not to be confused with the Jeffrey Archerfish, which just says, I'm the best at spitting in the world.
Topical, Andy, topical.
I'm never going to have a chance to make a Jeffrey Archerfish joke ever again in my life.
We can reinsert it into Have I Got News For You from 1996. Archerfish are great.
Yeah, archerfish are amazing.
They are.
So what they do is they're underneath the water and they fire out jets of water and they can knock down insects off leaves and then they fall into the water and they can eat them.
Yeah.
That's amazing in itself. But if you think about it, like, their eyes are underwater. And so the density of water is different than the density of air. So it's going to refract even when it goes up there. And also you've got gravity, which pulls down the water. So they have to aim somewhere that's nowhere near this insect, and they can still get it almost every time.
Wow.
Archerfish use tools. They use water as a tool because the definition of a tool is that you mould it to your purpose rather than just picking something up. And they do that with water because what they do is they spit the last bit of water out faster than the first bit of water, so that the last bit of water they're spitting out kind of catches up with the first bit, so that by the time it's hitting the insect, then it's all hitting it at once. Yeah. And so that has the power to knock it off its leaf.
On face recognition, there is a new app in Russia which has been very, very popular. It launched a few months ago. It now has about 500,000 users. It's called Find Face. You take a picture of someone on the street, and then it tracks them down via the social networks that they belong to.
Whoa.
Yeah, exactly. Creepy. But one of the founders is a guy called Alexander Kabakov, and he explained it wasn't creepy. This is exactly what
Explained is the key word.
But he did it while he was doing this. What he said was, it also looks for similar people. So you could just upload a photo of a movie star you like, or your ex, and then find 10 girls who look similar to her and send them messages.
You're absolutely right. That's not creepy at all. Speaking of apps and fish, there was this week a thing called Fish Hackathon, which is a competition where people invent mobile or internet things which is to do with fishing. Okay, and whoever does the best one wins. And the winner was Great Lakes Saviour, which is a real-time app which takes the temperature and flow data of the Great Lakes to work out when Asian carp will spawn. Because these are an invasive species and you need to know when they're going to spawn. Another app which wasn't quite as good, which did the same thing, was called Carpe Diem, which would have been good, right? A few others that didn't quite win. Fish Shazam is you kind of get your phone to analyse the molecules in a fish that you buy, and it tells you what species it is.
That's so cool.
But if you don't trust the signage in...
No, that's the thing. About a third of fish in America are missold.
Yeah. So another one, Fish Pals, which was a companion app for fishermen. Sounds good. Yeah.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Yeah.
Is it on if there's another fisherman on another boat?
Yeah, you know where he is. Yeah,
Oh, that's
maybe.
sweet.
I don't know.
Is it like Grindr for fishermen? Yeah, we're still 30 miles apart, I'm afraid.
Okay, that's it. That's all of our facts. Just time to share with you the 4 facts that we didn't have time to get to during this show. We're going to start with you, Anna Czynski.
This is from The Guardian. At London's first naked restaurant, which opened this week, the staff have been asked to cover their genitals for logistical reasons.
James?
Okay, mine is from the Australian Broadcasting Corporation, and it is that a green tree frog in Australia has been airlifted to Frog Hospital in Cairns after being injured in a lawnmower accident. The frog, which had to be x-rayed going through airport security, is expected home next week. That's a nice one.
My fact is from Der Spiegel, and this was tweeted to us by Maria Damptger. And the fact is that at an anti-immigration demo in Germany, one demonstrator turned up, plus 50 counter-demonstrators and 170 policemen. You need 3 people for it to be legally considered a demonstration in Germany, so the counter-demonstrators wandered off and the police went away. And finally, Andy.
Yes, mine is from the Salt Lake Tribune. It is that a suspicious package left outside a laundromat in a suburb of Salt Lake City has turned out to be empty.
Okay, and we just have time to quickly go over to Jane Hill in the studio.
I'm not in the studio, I'm in the pub. Hello, Bernard.
That's it from me, Andy, James, Anna, and those guys in the pub. We'll be back again next week. Goodbye.